Beagles will always have their noses to the ground as they are led through the world by their incredible sense of smell. But when they do look up at you, you will see one of the most handsome dogs around. The fact that they are such little characters means that they often turn up in films and TV shows as characters themselves. Some of the most famous dogs in the world are actually Beagles. Snoopy was a Beagle. Underdog was a Beagle. You will recognise Gromit of Wallace and Gromit. He himself is a Beagle. I'm Matt, this is the SkoolDoggery YouTube channel, and today is another entry in our breed overview series, and this time we're looking at Beagles. As ever, we've got loads more content over on our socials, and we'd love to hear about what dogs people think we should do next. So come find us everywhere at SkoolDoggery, subscribe to us here on YouTube, drop a comment below letting us know what dog breed we should cover next. But for now, let's get into it. Unlike breeds like the Golden Retriever that have highly detailed records on exactly how they were first bred, it is a lot harder to pin down exactly where and when Beagles as we know them today came into existence. There are mentions of Beagles going back to the Middle Ages, but if you were to put a 14th century Beagle next to a modern one, they would not be the same. They've always been, though, small hunting dogs in one way or another, with their name possibly coming from the Old English word beag, which meant small. Earlier Beagles were much smaller, so while a modern Beagle can be around 40 centimetres or 16 inches tall, some earlier versions of Beagles were tiny and were only 20 centimetres or 8 inches tall. This was so that they could fit into a pocket or a saddlebag on a hunt. Once the bigger dogs had chased down the prey or caught them or flushed it into a hedge, a pocket Beagle could be deployed to go and flush it back out into the open again. But they weren't just used for hunting, they're also great little characters and have always entertained people. There's a great story about Queen Elizabeth I having a pack of tiny singing beagles that were allowed to run around the table as people ate, jumping and dancing to entertain her guests. Dryden's Fables from the 1700s makes reference to beagles with a lovely little poem. The graceful goddess was arrayed in... Look, I know this is a school and that's Shakespeare, but I'm trying to use my Bachelor of Arts here, alright, so bear with me. The graceful goddess was arrayed in green. Around her feet were little beagles seen. They watched with upward eyes the motions of their queen. Beagles are pack dogs, so they love the company of both humans and other dogs. If you do manage to get one to pay attention to you and ignore its nose for more than 2 minutes, they are incredibly playful and easily trainable. Like all dogs, they do well if they're given a good set of rules to follow from an owner that can let them know what's expected of them. If not, they can be quite strong-willed and are more than happy to be off in their own little world. They're a typical dog that thinks it's much bigger than it actually is. So if you do have a Beagle, make sure that you are consistent with your rules and expectations, and I promise they will adore you for it. Because they used to be a hunting breed, you'll need to be extra careful when letting them off the lead outside your house. If they catch a whiff of a rabbit or a squirrel, they have the speed to disappear in an instant and the power to cause some real damage if they do manage to catch something. So recall training is a must for Beagles if you want to let them off the lead. However, please do remember that there's actually no situation that you'll ever come across where it is essential to let your dog off the lead. So if they don't have great recall, make sure to practice this with them often and don't let them off anywhere that they could get into trouble. As we've seen in our other overviews, a byproduct of an intelligent dog is that it can also tend to lead to a stubborn dog if they're not trained correctly. But training a Beagle does actually tend to be pretty easy, especially if you've got some smelly treats. They certainly can be noisy little buggers though. They've got a high-pitched howl that comes out when they're excited, sad, following a scent, happy to see you, sad about something, annoyed at being left alone. Basically, They're liable to go off 24/7 for what can seem like no reason at all, but this really does just add to the characters of these great little guys. So to cover exercise, let me tell you a little story about our friend's beagle called Toast. Toast will run around and around chasing our Staffy Freddy for an entire hour and never seems to stop for breath. Then, once the hour is up, his owners take him straight into the next field with another hour's worth of dogs to have another meet up there. He runs around and round with them for a whole hour, hardly stopping for breath. Once they're done, it's a brisk walk home for about 20 to 30 minutes, and this is usually enough to tire him out for him to just be calm and rest for the evening. Basically what I'm saying is, imagine if the Duracell bunny was a dog, it would be a beagle. If you do lead an active lifestyle though, beagles will fit in great with you. And they're compact enough to live in small spaces like a flat, but tenacious enough to walk up a mountain with you. If you feel that you can't give them a good hour or two every day, then beagles might not be the one for you. And in addition to all these physical exercise needs, you're also going to need to keep their brains engaged and tired out. Trick training works brilliant for beagles, and agility games can hit both the physical and mental spots in one go. Simply tiring them out physically isn't enough to keep these guys out of trouble. For a tired dog to be a good dog, it needs to be mentally drained too. Now, when it comes to their health, there are definitely conditions that you're going to need to watch out for in beagles. Hip dysplasia is one that is common in a lot of beagles. They've got these great stocky tree trunk little legs that give them some great power, but this can lead to hip problems with the bones not fitting correctly and wearing down over time. Similarly, because they have a slightly elongated body in proportion to their body size, they can get back problems later in life. Because of this, it's best to limit their physical exercise if you have a young beagle until they're at least a year, maybe even a year and a half old. Give them a chance to develop properly first. They are liable to become couch potatoes later in life though, so it's on you as a responsible owner to make sure that they don't end up looking like a potato too. The eyes are another area that you're going to need to pay close attention to. They can get gland problems around their eyes, along with glaucoma, too many eyelashes and gradual blindness. And because they're a low-level dog that loves running off into a field, all kinds of pollen, seeds and who knows what gets whipped into their eyes and into their faces. So you're gonna need to get them socialised to eye drops quite early on, and this will do you a favour. If you want some helpful tips on doing eye drops and other health things, then please check out our Dogs at the Vets video, and always consult your vet if you see a change in your dog's behaviour. If you get a beagle from a reputable breeder, it's perfectly reasonable to ask them to check the health clearances of the parent dogs. If someone ever refuses to let you check the health of the adult dogs, even just a quick visual inspection, treat that person with caution. A well-socialised beagle will have no problems with other dogs at all. Because they were pack dogs, they are used to being in and around loads of dogs, all running, shouting, bumping into each other. So providing you can socialise them properly when they're young, you shouldn't have any trouble here at all. They also love to play games with people and work with you. So again, if you can socialise them to a wide range of people when they're young dogs, you'll never hear a complaint about a beagle not getting along with someone. But because they tend to get along with everybody so well and they've got these high energy levels, they can get a little overexcited. A beagle will never hurt you on purpose, but one running at full speed chasing a ball could definitely knock a child over by accident and cause some damage. Some beagles are definitely mouthers as well. Again, this tends to be a game to them, but they need to be told what's acceptable and what's not. They form really strong bonds with their owners, which is great, but it can also lead to separation anxiety. Even a crate-trained beagle can quickly get worried when left alone for extended periods of time. So crate training is something that every Beagle owner should consider and make sure that they truly love their crate rather than just tolerating it. While working with a Beagle myself, I saw this firsthand. He was more than happy to go into the crate and settle down. But the moment I left the room, he immediately began howling his heart out. If I'd gone back in while he was howling, he would have learnt from that, hey, if I make this loud noise, they come back, and he would just do it more. Overall, if you have time to keep up with their exercise needs, Beagles are a wonderful companion dog and will provide endless fun for you, your family, your friends, the neighbours' dogs, basically everyone that they come into contact with. So let's get them on the leaderboard and give them some scores. For grooming, we're going to give them a 4. Beagles look like they've got a short coat, but this can be deceptive as they actually have 2 coats. A very short, very close one that's soft and thick, and then that's covered with a slightly longer, wiry coat. Because of this, you're going to need to have 2 different grooming brushes to reach each coat, and you're going to need to give them a brush at least once a week. Training-wise, we're giving them another 4. Beagles will love working with you and thrive in a structured environment. But if left to decide what to do themselves, they can wander off and cause trouble. Add their tendency to mouth into this, and it's obvious that they do take a little work to help them grow into a well-rounded, well-behaved adult dog. Health and exercise is a 2 here, and that's because they do have a heck of a lot of physical energy and some health problems that you don't see in a lot of dogs. They will go and go all day, and because of this, they are prone to physical conditions. Add into this the eye problems and the chance to go deaf, and this is why we've given them such a low score. But this isn't to say that I think they're unhealthy dogs, but our aim on this channel is to give people a well-rounded set of expectations and to highlight any potential problems. With Beagles, the potential problems are almost certainly going to be their health. We'll give them a solid 3 for their intelligence. They can be smart, they can learn a large amount of things, but they get distracted quite easily by their nose, and sometimes you will really struggle to keep them on tasks. If you can find a good range of mentally stimulating games though, you should easily tire their little brains out, especially if you can tap into that sense of smell. Remember, sniffing itself is an exercise for a dog, and no dog loves a good sniff more than a Beagle. It's 5 for their socialising. Their pack instincts lead them to fit in well whatever your home situation might be. They get on great with other dogs, with people, with cats, with other animals. For suitability for first time owners, I've wavered here between a 3 and a 4, and I think it needs to be a 3. Beagles can work for first time owners, but you will really need to be dedicated and have a really good training program in place from the moment that you get them home. Not months later, from second one on day 1, you need to be on it and training with a Beagle. This gives them a score of 21 overall, which does mean that they come in at the bottom of the leaderboard. But please don't let you get the impression that they aren't worth your time. Yes, they can be prone to some problems, but so can all dogs. It doesn't matter what the breed is. I really look forward to the times that I get to work with Beagles, and they will always brighten my day. Even if all they do is just walk away from us, the confidence that they have as they trot off over their field with their tails high and those little stocky legs powering them along is infectious. So there we go, that's our overview of the Beagle. If you've got another breed that you'd like us to cover, then please let us know in the comments. Let us know what you love about Beagles too. We really do appreciate every single like, follow and interaction with you guys. So please comment and subscribe to us on here, and come and find us on all the good social media sites. We are at SkoolDoggery. Until next time, please look after yourselves and your dogs.